Hello, everyone. This is a transmission from Norway. Um, and this trip has all been about letting go of the superficial stuff in life and not giving into the temptation to succumb to nostalgia, to look into past relationships that may or may not have been fulfilling, although they were comfortable at the time. What triggered this video diary is I wanted to talk a little bit about my mental health, but also the idea that human beings can be attracted to you and drawn to you during certain stages in your life. So I want to say like I've been feeling rather like people have been giving me the cold shoulder lately, and I want to chalk that up to me being like not a participant and have been isolating a lot these past few months. But also, I'm thinking a little bit about what contribution is and how we affect the friends in our lives, lives, and how human beings will move on from one another if you're not serving whatever it is they need in terms of uh, monetary value, emotional value. It's a lot of pressure to put on oneself to be like, I'm so scared of losing these connections that I've made that are, from a while ago, and to have to say, am I producing up to the standard of what this should be for them? And I just wanted to talk a little bit about bipolar disorder and how bipolar disorder is seen as something to sort of be treated very delicately. And yeah, by the way, I was in treatment earlier this year for bipolar disorder. I was in a hospital for 24 days, one day less than the last time I was in treatment. Same hospital, saw the same staff there. It was very funny to be like, hey, I'm back. Like, we've known each other for a year, but we haven't talked. How are the kids? How's the wife? How's the undercover wife? Um, I wanted to kick and scream and cry, and I was pissed off in there, and I was like, why are you holding me? I take my medication, I go to therapy. But I guess the idea was that I was very frustrated with the state of, I was mad at a very specific person, which is what caused my hypomania to get into the hospital. But I guess I was just very pissed off at the state of things, and how human beings can be so cruel to one another. Whoop whoop USA, we're in another war right now. And, you know, I want to talk a little bit about companionship and somebody who spends a lot of time on their own, but also somebody who is really sentimental about the connections they've made in life. And even if you're with me for a night and you go out with me, that's a supporter right there, and I want to support you back. But I got blown off by a bunch of different people this trip to Norway. I had plans that were made that have fallen through. I don't know what it is. And it made me think about conditional factors in life. And you start thinking, like, if I was prettier or funnier or smarter, that these people would want to be around me more. If I had a better job, if I was more successful, if I was famous. I think that that's a drive for a lot of people, is fame as a way to get people to like them because they wonder why they feel so empty, And I think I'm somebody who has the potential to become very successful one day in terms of their art and consideration for that. My dream is to be a director, and I would love to be able to create films like Project Hail Mary, which is an amazing film. You should go see it. Sci fi is not dead, it is very much thriving on the coattails of Ryan Gosling. And he, first of all, is so silly in that performance, but also the emotional depth. That man, I think he cried like he does the tear wipe, he does, the grimace. He's just got it down, and I really, really want him to play my dad in a movie one day. um, yeah, so I'm thinking if I had more stability in my mental health, if my medication was better, my confidence would be better. I'd be less anxious, less depressed, less prone to isolating. Maybe people would value me more as a connection, rather than somebody who's just stopping by and passing through town. And yeah, it kind of pisses me off because I make a lot of time for these people to communicate with them, and they're flattered, I guess, by the attention that I give them, and the wish and hope is to do it. But as a neurodivergent person, when somebody ignores me, blows me off, doesn't want to take the first, second, third step, it pisses me off because I do a lot of work on myself and it takes a lot to maintain a sense of equilibrium. And I don't want to be somebody who is striving to get their mental health right because they need to be a producer for other people. They need to be a someone that other people think is stable or attractive to be around or safe. Okay, I rebuke the opinion that in order for me to have more stable relationships that I have to be more of a stable person, because that's not true. I look back in the past of my life and there have been times where I was absolutely out of control, wild, and I had consistent friends, people who showed up and then one day they were gone. And it's there. Maybe I am a specific type of person that doesn't keep relationships all throughout their life, and I have friends from high school and everything. Yeah, brag about my social life again. But I just want to say that it's really discouraging to have to face kind of my energy of wanting to meet people and connect with them and them just not treating me like I'm anything. So my goal for this start of spring is to start treating myself like somebody who matters, and say that just because the guy that I flirted with in the club last night walked away from me, and then he matched with me on Tinder this morning. How fucked up is that? Um, like you do or you do not like me, sir. Okay, I'm sorry that my pictures are hot and you're superficial and fickle, but there's a moral to this vlog, and it's that you cannot wait for other people to notice your worth. You can't wait for other people to decide that you're somebody who is worth hanging around. You have to go out there and be your own best friend, and it's really hard to build that culture with yourself because we're taught very much so as human beings to be dependent on other human beings. Now, I will lay down my weapon and allow the guy to, fix my car or wallpaper my room, uh, you know, that stuff, because I don't know how to do that stuff. But I can't depend on anybody else to be the emotional support system for me because it's never worked before. Maybe it works for some specific types of people, but I really, really, really want to have more fulfilling friendships. And I think the only way to start doing that is to really nurture my culture with myself as somebody who shows up and who takes chances on themselves to make that weird art project, or to go the distance and travel alone, or to not just give in to dating somebody because it's a relationship built out of convenience, but a relationship built out of promise and compromise and attentiveness. Okay, it's kind of shocking when you're in a relationship where the person spends all of their time focusing on you and literally does not give you a chance to breathe. I'm not your property, okay? And a previous ex, I think, didn't do it consciously, but treated me like I was his property. And if I were to do anything in terms of emotional vulnerability that had to step away from that person, then they pay me as a monster. And then, of course, my bipolar diagnosis only made it worse because they're now saying I'm crazy. And you know what? Maybe I am fucking crazy. But I am somebody who is honest and authentic. And that's enough. Okay, it's enough for me to just show up and be honest and authentic, and I have insecurities as well. I'm not funny enough, interesting enough, pretty enough. Every time I see my hair thinning in the mirror, I'm like, what's going on? How do we fix this? But you're not somebody whose life needs to be fixed to be seen as valuable as other people, and you don't need to be constantly improving or working for the means to an ends of what a relationship is. Now, I think I know a little bit of what I'm talking about, but I also want to invite anybody who's been struggling with just judgment lately to talk about it. And if you want to express yourself, do it, because we're only here once, and We can only have so much to give at a certain time, but give back to yourself and understand there's no way you're going to lose, especially since you keep getting back on that horse. Even if it takes a little while, even if that pretty pink pony pushes you into the mud and bucks you, you will get back up. And if you don't, then you lived a great life. So, thank you very much.